Yo guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. I've been wanting to post a video like this one today for a while now, right? Because every single week my clients and we have a group meeting, either on Sunday or Monday, right? And in this group meeting, of course, I ask them if they have any questions, concerns, anything they want to bring up on their end, because of course it's a client-coach relationship, but with everyone on there, right? But also on these group calls, this is really where I teach, where I have these presentations about health and fitness, how you can learn more about improving your body, because I don't want to keep my clients for the rest of my life, right? That's not my goal. My goal is to get them to a point where they say, eventually, Ben, we've been, working together for 4, 5, 6 months. I feel like I've learned a lot more working with you. I've made crazy progress. I'm ready to take it into my own hands, right? I'm ready to do this on my own. And that's exactly what I want to hear, right? Again, I don't want to keep my clients for the rest of my life. I want to coach them for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, get them crazy progress, teach them as much as possible everything that I know, so that they tell me that they're ready to go and take it into their own hands. So this week on our group call, it was actually yesterday, we talked about isometrics, right? And if you don't know what they are, of course after this video you'll know more, right? But this week we had a talk and discussion about isometrics. Last week it was about sleep and the quality and how to get more quality and quantity of sleep. Previously, before that, it was about supplements, of course, creatine, protein powder, omega-3s, all the vitamins that are very important that you should be taking every day, right? And of course, so many different other topics about health and fitness, right? So my main point is every single week we're having these group calls, getting on together and just learning more together, right? And what I said in the beginning of this video specifically is that I've been wanting to post a video like this of showing what it's like to be in a legacy fitness coaching group meeting, right? And so of course these group meetings are just for my clients, but I'm not going to do this regularly. But I'm going to post yesterday's group meeting about isometrics on YouTube today and show you guys what it's like to be inside of these group meetings, right? Again, there's a ton of information, and that's why I wanted to post it. I want you guys out there to learn more, and again, see what it's like. So I hope you guys enjoy this video about isometrics, and also enjoy, learning a little bit more about how I run my business and what it's like to be a client of mine. All right, let's do it. So, isometrics today, right? I want to focus on isometrics, talk about the benefits, what they actually are, um, and how, we can start incorporating them into our training regimens, right? But what are isometrics? Isometrics are a type of strength training exercise where the muscles contract without changing length and without visible movement of the joint, right? So in simpler terms, you hold a position under tension rather than moving through a range of motion, right? So some examples are planks, wall sits, or a lower push-up position hold, right? So for example, say it is a bicep curl, right? A regular bicep curl, you have the weights, you're going up, the concentric portion and the eccentric, right? But with isometrics, it would just be you're holding the weight, right? Keeping that muscle under tension, not moving up or down. Like I said, just holding that weight in the same position, right? So go on. During isometric exercises, the muscle is activated, but there's no joint movement, right? Like I said. And so this causes tension without shortening or lengthening of the muscle fibers, which stimulates strength gains through neurological adaptations and increased muscle fiber recruitment. Um, and a question I had previously, right, is if isometrics stimulate strength gains, right, are isometrics better than traditional strength training styles, right, the concentric and eccentric portions, right? But the answer is no, and I'll get into it obviously. So let's compare and contrast the two. Isometrics, first off, great for beginners to build stability, great for angle, position, static strength, right? So this could be for gymnasts, climbers, wrestlers, athletes who need to be strong in a specific position, for example, right? Wrestlers, of course, they are explosive, jumping on top of each other, right? But also, they need to be very stable, very strong in a squatting position, for example, right? And lastly, here, lower risk of injury. So, really, really great for rehabilitation and rebuilding strength. And let's go to traditional training, right? Concentric and eccentric portions of traditional strength training. So, first off, of course, full range strength. Great for muscle growth because it incorporates that stretch in addition to a full range of motion. Functional movement, of course, right? Having a full range of motion, moving the body in different ways with load. Best for dynamic sports, of course, with functional movement. And lastly, higher risk of injury, just due to improper form or ego lifting, as you know, people like to say now, which is just too heavy loads of weight, right? For example, you ego lifting. I mean, you have too high of an ego. You put 315 on the bar, and of course you don't get it up because that's a crazy amount of weight, right? But too heavy of weight obviously can induce injury or improper form, right? So that's why traditional strength training could be a higher risk of injury just compared to isometrics, right? But in the end, isometrics are more so for beginners or after a injury, for example, right? When you have to rehabilitate and uh, rebuild that strength and stability back. But of course, traditional strength training is still more beneficial for muscle growth and muscle strength for experienced lifters and things like that. But the benefits of isometric training, right? Of course, increased strength, especially at specific joint angles, like I said, being strong in a specific position, for example. Improved muscular endurance, which is a big one, and why I really like isometric training. Joint stabilization and injury prevention, like I just said, right? Stabilizing those joints, tendons, and muscles after a injury, for example. Time efficient, good for busy schedules or warm-ups. Great for warm-ups, of course, to put blood into that muscle and into that area to get it warmed up. And great for busy schedules, just because, I mean, you're not going to hold an isometric exercise for like an hour, for example, right? I mean, I have seen people hold a plank for absurd amounts of times. But what I'm trying to say is that isometrics are great. They're very intense, obviously, right? You're holding that weight there, so it can be good for busy schedules to get a pretty good workout in. But of course, traditional strength training is going to be a little bit more beneficial. But lastly, again, safe for rehab, less strain on the joints compared to dynamic movements, right? So great for rehabilitation, like I've said. And now, two ways of how we can incorporate isometrics into our current training, right? All of us here on this call, and of course, all my other clients watching on the recording. First off, muscular endurance. If you this is for my long walkers and runners in the group. If you feel your calves, quads, or hips, for example, feel very sore after a long run or a long walk, right? This may be contributed to weak muscular endurance, right? They're two different things, muscle strength and muscular endurance, right? Someone could squat 400 pounds for a couple reps, right? And that's muscle strength. But maybe they get really tired on a long run, right? Or a hike, for example. Their thighs, their quads, calves get very sore and tired and fatigued. That's due to a weak muscular endurance, right? So again, they're two different things, right? And so, of course, if you feel that fatigue, if you feel regularly sore after a run, it could be due to that. And so, train those muscles using isometrics to improve that muscular endurance. So, that's one way we can start incorporating isometrics. And the second way is position specific strength, right? And this is for bench, barbell squats, push-ups, for example. And so, an example I have for you to sort of illustrate this second idea a little bit better for you is, say, for example, you want to improve your bench pressing strength, right? You at 150 and you want to go to 185. Of course, you want to continue regular strength training, progressive overload, things like that. Of course, that's going to help you get stronger. But another sort of idea or thing you can try is isometrics. And so the hardest point when benching is the lowered position, right? You're bench pressing when you're down here. This is for sure the hardest point, the most difficult. And so my point is isometrics, grabbing some weight, hopefully having a spotter behind you, right? But grabbing that weight and just holding it down here in that lowered position when we're weakest and strengthening that sticky point is what lifters like to call it, right? Having that sticky point, improving the strength there can in return improve your strength and skyrocket your bench press, for example, or even with barbell squats, right? You hold the weight down in that squatted position, improve that strength in the sticky point and then in return, of course, improving strength overall. This could be push-ups as well, holding that lower position, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Ben, that's a key concept that at the extremes of range of motion at both ends, not only the lowest point, but the
Mhm.
highest point, that's where this really comes across as beneficial.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. And like I said, people nowadays like to call it sticky points, and it really does make sense, right? You can really flow pretty freely through this, but as you get lower and closer to your body, it gets a little stickier and just slower in the whole movement. So, yeah, for sure. And so for this week's challenge,
Oh, I knew it.
I want to do wall sits. Yep. And so last week, of course, we had the plank challenge. Yes, sir, Cornell. He's hyped for this one. Last week we had the plank challenge, right? And that was great. I loved it. It seemed like everyone else did too, right? We were all super consistent all week, showing each other our times, right? But wall sits for this week are great for quad muscular endurance, of course. Great for stabilizing the knee joints and the tendons. I know for me, my right knee. I don't know quite what's going on. It might be patellar tendonitis or something. It acts up a little bit, not all the time, but sometimes. But I've done wall sits in the past, and it sort of seems to help, again, stabilize those joints and tendons and sort of alleviate that pain a little bit, right? Strengthening everything. And so I've seen wall sits to help a lot for that. Of course, this is a mental challenge. Like I said last week, for sure, planks were a mental
Yeah.
challenge, right? But wall sits are another one because I mean, everyone here has done a wall sit, correct? Yeah. No?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Okay. I love it.
Oh, good luck, Juan.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your experience for this week. But my point is, wall sits are hard on the body. I mean, your legs
Oh,
just
man.
kill. And so it's for sure a mental challenge, right? You got to continue to tell yourself that, you got to keep holding on. Your mind is going to quit first, right? Your mind is going to be like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is uncomfortable. We should stop doing this, right? So try to get a better mentality when doing challenges like this. Um, and continuing to tell yourself, you got to keep going and beat your time yesterday, right? And of course, why I want to do wall sits as this isometric challenge is just to remind you guys to start incorporating some more isometric exercises into your training wherever you feel necessary, right? We're all different. For improving stabilization with specific exercises, for example, dumbbell exercises or barbell exercises, both are very unstable when compared to like machine movements and exercise, for example, right? So if you want to improve either of these two, you can start incorporating isometrics or for muscular endurance, of course, like we talked about previously, right? And again, actually, I'll get to that, but this is what a wall sit looks like, right?
Oh,
Make sure you're at that 90 degrees with your legs. Where's my cursor? There it is. 90 degrees with your legs. And as you can see, this diagram or picture has their arms out, right? And this is going to be a little bit more difficult. You can have
oh,
your arms, you can have your arms against the wall, right, with your body, and that's going to be a little bit easier. The easiest is having your hands on your knees, but I want you guys to try and stay away from that, right? Because you can kind of support yourself if you put your hands on your knees. So try to put all that tension on the quads, right? Either putting your hands on the wall with you out in front, or the hardest one for sure is having those hands up and just back against the wall, right? So you guys can try all these different variations out. But again, we're challenging ourselves with wall sits this week, right? Trying to hold it for longer each day, beating our previous record yesterday, for example, today, and not comparing yourself to others people's times, right? Again, this is a challenge to keep each other accountable, right? And try to incorporate more isometric exercises, right? But again, I want you guys to sort of refrain a little bit away from comparing your time with somebody else's, right? We're all comparing ourselves to the time we got yesterday, right? And beating it today, and then again beating it tomorrow, right? And I think we all did a really, really good job of doing that last week with the plank challenge, right? But I just wanted to reiterate that and make sure that you're remembering this is a challenge with yourself, right? And again, let's keep each other accountable this week and continue to get 1% better each day. I'm excited for this challenge. How does everyone else feel?
Oh, I'm so excited.
I
And this is,
I
I do
like
have a
it.
question. This is going to help with your squats, right?
Definitely, right? Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, it's gonna strengthen those knees, those tendons in there, right? And of course, it's gonna help in that lowered position, that sticky point, like I said. So yeah, for sure, it's gonna help with squats and of course muscular endurance. Yeah, yeah, yep. Patrick, how you feeling?
Not too bad. It's a fair bit of information, but it's pretty good. And the squats are going to be hell like always.
Yeah,
Um, and the wall sits are going to be average.
yeah. I love it. I'm excited to see your contribution this week, right? I think
Yes.
it's the first
Yeah.
challenge you're doing with us and the first group call. So it's great to have you here, and I'm excited to see that. Matt, how you feeling about it?
Yes. Yeah, not too
We
bad.
oh,
Yeah. There you go.
yeah, we'd had challenges at work before where we did wall sits, but I think we most people just had their hands on their knees.
Right.
So having your arms extended outward is definitely going to be worth a try.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Mike, how you feeling?
I'm willing to give it a go. Just for some background, real quickly,
Yeah.
this was the very first challenge that Ben gave me when we were deciding that I was no longer a beginner and we might move up to a better program. This is if you thought last week was a mental battle, and it was for some of you guys that hit like 4 and 5 minute planks, which was remarkable. This one really takes a lot of mental toughness, but as Ben showed in his initial frames, um, the benefits for either end of a range of motion. And in this case, we'll be working for the lower range for like squat or lowering activities. It's really beneficial.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and you're totally right about that mental challenge. This is a different battle for sure. I mean, it's your legs start to shake and you feel like you're just gonna fall, but you gotta keep on that wall as long as you can. And then, like I said, beat it again tomorrow. So it's a constant challenge this week, but I'm excited for it. Juan, how you feeling?
I'm excited. I've never wall sat before, but
Yeah.
I like pushing myself, so I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
I know you do. I know you do. So I'm excited to see your contribution as well. And of course, if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. We're all here to help each other, of course, right? So, yeah, seriously, guys, super, super excited. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a request.
Yeah,
If if you've tried this next week and you end up having a good session, share what worked with you with the rest of us because I don't want to prejudge, but man, if anything can induce mental panic, it's when you get about 90 seconds to 2 minutes on a wall set and you just wish you could be any other place.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so if you find a way that helps you get through it, or if you find an adaptation that's really helpful, please share it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing times last week were really surprising, and everybody did a really good effort, but this jump, we're jumping up in challenge this week. This will be
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I found myself last week for the plank challenge really, really not wanting to do it, right? Because Yesterday I got a good time and I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm done for the day. And then I slept and then I woke up and I was like, oh crap, I got to do it again today. And I got to beat what I did yesterday. And I thought there is just no way, right? And so I found myself trying to sort of put it off a little bit later. But of course I got to it at some point in the day and I had to hype myself up for it, of course, and just staring at that clock and then just telling myself to shut up and start the time and get down on my elbows. And so for
Yeah.
sure had to get past that mental challenge, but I'm excited to do it all over again this week.
I
Like
think I'm gonna
that.
do my
Yeah.
challenge
Well,
before my workout because with the plank challenge, I was doing it after my workout and I was already
Mhm.
tired.
Yeah,
So this one, I'm gonna do it before any of my workout.
yeah, yeah. I love it. Cornell, what were you
I
gonna say?
usually, I was like, I usually waited to do the plank challenge like way later in the day,
Me too.
but
Yeah.
just like you said, Ben, like I felt good. My time, like one day I got that good time. Like, yeah, oh, I gotta do it again tomorrow.
Exactly,
Like,
man. Exactly.
and by the time I got to the five, like I'm not gonna lie, man, I started. It was like, nah, nah, I ain't doing it. I gotta get a minute in. Like, nah, this is too much. This is too much. Like, nope, nope, nope.
I
Like,
remember.
what pushed me for that? It really wasn't a mental thing. What pushed me was I'm only fighting my own self from yesterday. No one else here. So
Yeah,
I'm beating this time that I did the day before, and
yeah.
I will get right back. And I probably the first when I got the 5 minutes the first time, I probably started like three different times and stopped. Like, okay, half an hour later, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Right,
I
right.
pushed myself just because I wanted to beat that time from before.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Tomorrow I'm going to be in the office. I might even recruit some of my work teammates to say like, hey, let's do a group wall set because that's what we used to do
Oh,
before, and it
Yeah.
was fun. So it made it more challenging too.
Right, right. Especially, I know for me, of course, having someone to compete with right next to me, for example, on a wall sit, I'm inclined to for sure, be the one to stay up there longest, right? And so I know exactly what you mean, bringing other people along with you. I'd love to see it. I was gonna say if you could grab a picture of that, but you'll be doing the wall sit, so I don't know how you'll do that, but let us know if you do those.
We'll find someone who doesn't want to participate, and we'll let them shoot the picture.
Love it. I love it. I can't wait to see that. It's gonna be great.
Hmm.
So as you guys just saw, that's sort of what it's like to be in a group meeting, in a group environment where everybody is supporting each other, right? In addition to my one-on-one work, again, we also have these group meetings every single week. I truly love them, right? Getting on with everyone, chatting and sharing our experiences together because like I said, it's in addition to one-on-one work with me. I think that's important. Some things you don't want to share to everybody, right? But again, there is a great and beautiful thing about having the community aspect in addition to that one-on-one work, because it just brings it all together, right? Everyone is motivating, inspiring each other, and really just keeping each other accountable, right? And as you saw, everyone loves these challenges as much as I do, right? Challenging each other, but also challenging ourselves every single week. And so, yeah, like I said, that's sort of what it's like to be in Legacy Fitness Coaching in a group meeting, and I'm looking for a couple more people this month to join, right? And so if you feel that you're ready to take your physique, your health, your fitness, and improve your lifestyle, take everything to the next level, fill out the application that is in the link in the description of this video, right? That's gonna be my website, and in there is the application. And of course, I'll be looking through that application, making sure you fit all the requirements. And if you do, right, you can join us on these weekly meetings every single week and work one-on-one with me for a couple months, learning so much, making so much progress, and then having a totally different lifestyle on the other end. Right, so if you're ready, fill out that application. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you got a ton of information learning about isometrics and things like that. Like I said, I won't be doing videos like this that often, but if you want to see more, join up in Legacy Fitness Coaching. I'll see you guys in the next video.